Good evening. My grandpa and I decided to switch roles. He said he missed singing, and I said I missed preaching, so we decided to switch. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about friends. And in the church, sometimes we focus on, in 1 Corinthians, whenever it tells us that evil companions corrupt good morals. But over quarantine, I learned that I like to read. I never knew this about myself, but I like to read. And I read a book called Big Potential by Shawn. And Shawn is a positive he's a guy that studies positive psychology. There's the word. Positive psychology. And this entire book is about how we can't reach our true potential alone. We need other people around us, and it's about how can we make our, what he calls, star system of people the very best to benefit us. How can we surround ourselves with the right people to get us where we're going? And as Christians, it is so very important that we surround ourselves with the right people, that we build ourselves up. And in his book, he talks about a study that they did. And they brought people to a mountain and they said, look at this mountain. They brought them alone. They said, look at this mountain and tell us how tall it is. And they would say, well, I think it's this tall. And then he would bring them back, and it was the same exact mountain, but this time they had a friend standing next to them. And they'd say, look at this mountain, tell me how tall it is. With just a friend next to them, the friend could be standing backwards. He didn't even have to be paying attention to what was going on. Just having a friend next to them, they thought that the mountain was 20% smaller than they did the first time. And this is amazing because nothing changed except for that they had somebody standing next to them. That was the only difference in the two experiences. And in Christian living, sometimes it feels like we are staring at a mountain. We have a long way to go, but we know we have somebody next to us, and it looks about 20% smaller. And in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 12, it talks about the importance of having friends. Starting in verse 9, it says, 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him that is alone when he falleth, he hath not another to help him up. Again, if 2 lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if 1 prevail against him, 2 shall withstand him, and threefold cord is not quickly broken. As Christians, whenever we stand by ourselves, whenever we have nobody by our side, we're weak. We're easier for the devil to break. But whenever we surround ourselves with Christians, just 2 of us standing next to each other, we're so much harder to break. And whenever we do fall, we have somebody there with their hand out ready to help us up. And another verse that comes to mind when talking about friends is Proverbs 27, verse 17. In Proverbs 27, verse 17, it says, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. If I surround myself with people that aren't iron, I'm never going to be as sharp as I could. If I am the iron and I keep cutting up against wood, eventually that iron that I have is going to dull. But if I'm standing next to somebody who is iron as well, and we are working together and we are sharpening each other, we're making each other stronger. And as we conclude this, I want to remind you how important it is to surround yourself with good friends, with people that are pushing you to the goal that we are all ultimately chasing. And I hope that as you look to your left, to your right, if you look around this auditorium, you look and you say, I see my good friends. I see my best friends in this auditorium who are helping me get to where I'm going. And if you don't see that, I hope that you find that. I hope that you look around and you say, these may not be my good friends, but there's a lot of people in here that would really like to be my good friend, who would really like to help me get there, because there is an auditorium full of people ready to help you. And so tonight, as we have our song of invitation, if you need prayers of support from your good friends in this congregation, or if you just need help finding those friends, we stand here for you. Or if you need to be baptized and to come into this family and gain all of these wonderful friends, but most importantly, gain the best friend that anybody can possibly have in Jesus Christ. Please come forward as we stand and sing.